This one strategy has had more of an impact on our real estate investing business than any other strategies. And Matthew, since that time, I've never missed out on a deal for not having the funding.
If you're a real estate investor and are wondering how to raise and leverage private money to make more profit on every deal, then you're in the right place. On Raising Private Money, we'll speak with new and seasoned investors to dissect their deals and extract the best tips and strategies to help you get the money, because the money comes first. Now here's your host, Jay Conner.
If you've ever thought, I would love to get into real estate investment, real estate flipping houses, I just don't know where to start. I don't know how to finance it. I don't have the money to do that. I cannot wait for you to hear this conversation with my new friend, Jay Conner. Wow, what a wealth of information. He's got a lot of free giveaways he provides at the end of the episode. I'm so excited for you to hear my new friend, Jay. Welcome to Market Mavericks. I'm Matthew Efird. Join me as I speak with leaders who are redefining industries in every corner of the market. From startups to established businesses, we'll uncover the strategies, challenges, and insights that drive success. Get ready to be inspired by the Mavericks who are shaping the future of business. Welcome, everybody, to the Pillars of Purpose podcast, powered by Lighting Pros. I'm your host, Matthew Efird, and I am so excited to have my new friend here with me, Jay Conner. He's got incredible resources, a lot of information about specifically private money. And if you're hearing that and you're like, I don't know what that is, well, I'm so glad you tuned in to the episode today. Jay, thank you for joining us on the episode today. Thank you for being willing to share your wisdom. And I know, just as a little teaser, you got some free giveaways to give at the end of the episode. So thank you for being willing to do that. Those who may not know you, Jay, if you're come on, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your business experience.
Sure, Matthew. First of all, Matthew, thank you so much for having me come on as your guest on the show here to talk about what I'm so passionate about and so excited. And that is private money for real estate deals. The reason I'm so excited about it is because this one strategy has had more of an impact on our real estate investing business than any other strategy.
Wow.
I started investing in real estate, single family houses all the way back in 2003.
Okay.
2003, for goodness sake.
Cool.
Here in Eastern North Carolina, we've bought and sold and flipped and rehabbed over 500 houses since that time.
Wow, congratulations.
One at a time. And how all this came about, Matthew, was from 2003 until January of 2009. The only thing I knew to do to get funding for my real estate deals was use my line of credit at the local bank or go to mortgage companies. But all that changed in January of 2009.
Sure did.
I had 2 houses under contract, and I called up my banker here in Morehead City, North Carolina, and I learned over the phone like that my line of credit had been closed with no notice to me.
Wow.
And I said to my banker, I said, Steve, that was his name. I said, Steve, what in the world are you telling me? My line of credit's closed. We've done a ton of deals in 6 years. I got a great credit score, never been late on my payments. And my banker, Steve, he said, Jay, don't you know there's a global financial crisis going on right now? I said, no, Steve, I didn't know that, but you just gave me a financial crisis. I don't have a way to fund these 2 deals. So I knew I had to find a better and quicker way to get funding for my real estate deals. And my definition of coincidence is God's way of staying anonymous.
Okay, I love that.
And I learned about private money in less than 2 weeks of being cut off from the banks. And Matthew, since that time, I've never missed out on a deal for not having the funding.
Wow. That is amazing. What a cool way that God showed up and provided. What does that look like? Right? Somebody's listening to this and they say, look, Jay, Matthew, I'm a small business owner, right? I'm already busy and I hear about real estate investing. I'm not really in the place to do that. I don't have the capital to do that. Talk to that person They're listening to this. You've got years of experience in doing this. Will you share some wisdom with them?
Well, let me first share how I even learned about private money. The power is in asking the right questions.
Okay.
And so when I hung up the phone, believe it or not, Matthew, we actually still have handsets and landlines here in North Carolina.
Yeah.
But when I hung up the phone from my banker, I sat here at this very desk and I asked myself a very important question. And, this question can help solve any problem that anybody's got going on right now in their life. I don't care if it's health, career, financial, relationships. It doesn't matter. And so when I hung up the phone with my banker, I sat here, and by the way, these people running around, Matthew, saying every problem's an opportunity. I want to throw up. I did not have an opportunity.
Yeah,
I had a problem.
Yeah.
Now, the problem became an opportunity.
Sure.
Because I wouldn't be here on your show unless this problem had come up. So here's the question I asked myself. I said to myself, Jay, it's not how, it's who.
Okay.
I said, who do you know that can help solve your problem? That's all I asked myself. And, interestingly enough, I immediately thought of Jeff Blankenship, a dear friend. We know each other at church.
Okay.
Not in the same town, but the same affiliated church. And he was at the time investing in single family houses in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Okay.
And I called up Jeff and I told him what had happened. And he said, welcome to the club. And I said, well, I'm not sure I want to be a member of that club, but what club are you talking about? He said, well, that's the club of the bank closing your line of credit with no notice to you. He said, my bank closed my line of credit last week.
Wow.
And I said, well, Jeff, how are you going to fund your deals? He says, well, have you ever heard of private money? I said, no. He said, have you ever heard of self-directed IRAs and how people can take current retirement funds, move them over to a self-directed IRA company, and then they can loan that money out to us real estate investors, and the interest that we pay them on that loan is either tax deferred or tax free. I said,
Wow.
Jeff, I don't have a clue what in the world you are talking about. I said, what's private money? He said, I'm not really sure, but there's this gentleman down in Jacksonville, Florida, by the name of Ron LeGrand,
Okay.
and he says he can teach us about private money. I said, okay. I said, well, what is it? And he says, well, I don't know, but Ron says we can get a lot of it really, really fast. I said, okay. So Jeff and I went to that conference. That was my very first real estate investing conference. I had been in this business for 6 years without going to a conference. I was relying on my experience and from previously being in the mobile home business and reading books and et cetera. So I went to that conference, and oh boy, Matthew, did I learn about private money. And so I came back home here to Morehead City, and in less than 90 days, I was able to raise $2,150,000 in private money, private lending.
Wow.
And since that time, I've never missed out on a deal for not having the funding. And what's interesting about it, Matthew, is I didn't sell, I didn't persuade, I didn't chase, I didn't ask anybody for money. What I did is I took on the mindset, and I tell people all the time, the real estate between your ears is what you got to own first.
Okay.
You got to own that real estate between your ears. You got to have the right mindset. And so I took on the mindset, Matthew, of being a teacher, of being a person that could share with other people how they could earn high rates of return safely and securely, backed by real estate. So I just shared with people that I go to church with, in my civic groups. I put on a private lender luncheon and invited about 20 people.
Okay.
And raised $969,000 just right there at that private lender at that one event.
Yeah.
And So a big secret, a very valuable share here. And Matthew, I don't know if you've ever been to any real estate investing conferences or heard the guru on stage talk about real estate investing. But let me tell you something that drives me crazy. I don't know if you've ever heard somebody stand on stage and say, "Oh, just get the deal under contract. The money will show up." Or they'll say, "Oh, money finds good deals." Let me tell you something. That's the most stupid thing I ever heard in my life.
I
Right?
love that. Jay, what I appreciate so much about this is there are people that are listening to this that have heard that incorrect information. They thought, oh, well, yeah. But I love the fact that you're, number one, sharing the correct information with us, but two, you're drawing out the conclusion to say, okay, let's be wise stewards of the funds that we have, right? And the skill set and the abilities, the opportunities that God's put in front of us. Let's be good stewards of that. So please continue.
Thank you. And so it just makes sense to me to get the money lined up first, and with no deal attached to it.
Sure.
Right? There's no pitching of deals here. You get the money lined up first, and then, so how do you get that lined up? How do you get the money lined up? Well, you're a teacher. You're sharing the opportunity. You see, there's no pitching here. There's no negotiation of interest rates. I mean, I've been paying my private lenders 8% APR, annual percentage rate, 8%, ever since 2009. And that's with all the ups and the downs in the market, right?
Wow.
And I pay them all the same thing,
Wow.
8%, and they love it. I mean, right now, a certificate of deposit at the local bank, maybe you can get 3%,
Sure.
a savings account, 0.02%.
Yeah.
And you compare 8% to that, that's fantastic. They also love it, Matthew, because their investment is not volatile like investing in the stock market.
Sure.
You invest in the stock market, you already lost money because you had to pay fees and commissions. And, as of us recording this show today, stock market's come down 10% in the last 3 weeks, 2 weeks, I should say.
Yeah.
So, so the private lender knows exactly what their rate of income is going to be. Another important point is that Carol Joy, my wife, and I, we've had 47 private lenders.
Wow.
Funding our deals. And you know what's interesting, Matthew? Not one of them ever heard of private money or private lending or self-directed IRAs and using, current retirement funds until I did what? Until I put on my teacher hat, which says private money teacher.
Love it.
None of them ever knew about that. So we lead with education, sharing how people can earn these high rates of return. They simply give us a verbal dollar amount, a verbal pledge. Well, I've got this much I want to invest, or, I've got this much in retirement funds. I want to move that over to the self-directed IRA company that you talked about. I'll introduce them to our self-directed IRA representative. They'll get their funds moved over. And then here's the big secret sauce. So if you're listening to this show, I'm glad you're still here, because I'm going to give you the script right now.
Okay.
The exact words. It's called the Good News Phone Call.
Okay.
And I never pitch a deal. I haven't pitched a deal since 2009. I simply deliver on my promise. So Matthew, let's pretend that you and I have been friends for a while, and I've put on my teacher hat, and I shared with you the opportunity as to how you can earn high rates of return safely and securely. And let's also assume that you told me you had $150,000 in a previous employer's 401k plan. It's still sitting over there. It's really sort of not doing anything. You're not happy with it. And let's also assume I've introduced you to the self-directed IRA company, and you've moved that $150,000 over to the self-directed IRA company, and now you're waiting for me to put your money to work, because that's what I told you. I told you I would put your money to work just as soon as possible. So I call you up with the Good News Phone Call. And here it is. I call you up, you answer the phone, we have a little chit chat, and then I say, Matthew, I've got great news for you. I can now put your money to work. I've got a house under contract in Newport with an after repaired value of $200,000. The funding required for this deal is $150,000, which matches up to what you have in your retirement account. Closing is going to be next Tuesday. So you'll need to wire your funds from your self-directed IRA account to my real estate attorney's trust account by next Monday, and I'm going to have my attorney email you the wiring instructions. That's the end of the conversation.
Wow.
I didn't ask you. I mean, the most stupid thing I could say is, do you want to fund the deal? Of course you want to fund the deal.
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah.
And there's three big reasons that you want to fund the deal. Number one, you trusted me to move your $150,000 over to the self-directed IRA. Number two, you know I'm not going to bring a deal for you to fund that doesn't match the criteria and the underwriting that I already taught you.
Sure.
I already taught you I'm not going to borrow more than 75% of the after repaired value. Well, the $150,000 is 75% of the $200,000 after repaired value. I didn't say 75% of the purchase price.
Yeah.
I said 75% of the after repaired value. That's why, as real estate investors, you always bring home a big check when you buy.
Okay.
Who wants to get paid to buy houses, right?
Yeah.
And then thirdly, you're ecstatic to fund my deal because you're not making any money with that $150,000 in that account. It's just sitting there until I put it to work. And so, again, no chasing, begging, persuading, or selling. You're teaching, you're offering a great way for people to get high rates of return safely and securely, and then you're delivering on your promise.
So, Jay, it's amazing. And I appreciate the way that you're articulating it, number one. Number two, when I look at like real estate investing, and I hear this a lot. So I hear this from people in the audience. I hear this from friends. When they see real estate investing, they lived through 2008, 2009, and they saw either themselves or friends or maybe parents lose everything. And they think, this is my retirement account, and I'm going to take my retirement account and I'm going to put it in this. Isn't that risky? Can you help us talk through that objection?
Sure.
What does that look like as an investor side? Not so much finding the hard money, but when you go out to hard money, can you give us a little bit more detail there?
Sure. Well, and when you say hard money, I want to make sure everybody understands there's a difference between hard money and private money.
Private money.
Yeah. Well, the industry has mixed it all together. And hard money lenders, and some of my best friends are hard money lenders, they call their hard money private money. But let me give the distinction. Hard money typically is a brokerage.
Okay.
It has gone out and raised private money for their hard money lending fund, and they pay the interest to the private lenders, the private investors, but then they charge a higher interest rate,
to make their
12%
margin
or whatever, to the real estate investor and charge points and et cetera. So a private lender is an individual, a human being just like us, that's a one-on-one transaction with no middle person involved.
Okay.
So that's the distinction. So I just want to make sure that's right. So a risk as a private lender, there's risk in everything you do, but how do we mitigate that risk and protect our private lenders?
Sure.
Number one, as I just mentioned, don't borrow more than 75% of the after repaired value. That's going to give the lender a 25% equity cushion.
Okay.
So that, if the property doesn't sell quickly, if it doesn't get liquidated, well, that's a 25% equity cushion to where the lender's not loaning more than that. So it's a conservative loan to value. How else do we protect them? We do not borrow unsecured funds. So the private lender is the bank. The private lender is the bank. So the private lender is going to get the same protection as a bank. They're going to be named on the insurance policy as the mortgagee. So if there's ever a claim against that insurance policy, that check is made payable not only to the borrower, your entity, but it's also made payable to your private lender.
Wow.
So that private lender's got to sign off on that check. We also named the private lender on the title insurance policy as an additional insured in case there's any, title issues down the road. So again, we're going to give the same protection to our private lenders as the local bank would get.
Wow. That's fascinating. So someone's listening to this and they would classify themselves as the entrepreneur, or that they've dabbled in real estate, maybe in 2020, 2021, they bought it and they flipped a building and they're made some money, but now it's so competitive, it's so difficult, they're having issues. Can you speak to that person as this is a legitimate, as a great opportunity to be as either part of your portfolio or like for yourself, this is what I do? Can you give us some insight there?
Yes. And what I say to people is, unless you have consistent, motivated seller leads, people that are wanting to sell their property,
okay,
unless you have that consistently coming into your pipeline and being fed to you, then you do have a hobby and you don't have a business.
Sure.
Matthew, I have not bought a property that was listed in the multiple listing service since before COVID.
It's amazing.
Before March
so
2020. Cool. I haven't found a deal in the multiple listing service since that time. So all the properties that we buy are what we call off market.
Okay.
Off market properties. So we direct mail to pre-probates. Okay. Interestingly enough, within 2 years of someone passing away, that property is sold within 2 years.
Wow.
So we do direct mail probates. We do a lot of, for the past years, we've done a lot of Google paper leads.
Okay.
We recently have moved over to pay-per-click, to where we are 100% in control of people that are going to Google and searching for someone such as myself in this area to buy their house quickly, as is,
okay,
without any realtors or commissions involved, and et cetera. Okay. Type of thing. And so the consistent marketing, if someone's looking to getting into this, the consistent marketing, persistent and consistent marketing is key to being successful in this business.
And so what advice would you give to somebody who's doing it initially as a side hustle, as a hobby? How do you get your first deals under your belt? What does that kind of look like? I know it's been a long time for you, but when you help coach people, when you help mentor people, what does that process look like for somebody that hears that and they say, Jay, I got it. I know people, I feel like I can go get private money, but I don't know how to get the deals going. And I'm so scared to do the first one because I don't want to get taken advantage of, or I don't want to lose everything. Yes.
Well, the first advice I would get is leverage and get a mentor. Okay. Get a mentor, get a coach. Work with somebody that's already been through the minefield. Sure. Right? Don't go out there on your own trying to do this and to navigate it. So first of all, get the right education and get the right partnership with, that's what I do with my members, my Mastermind members, my Platinum Plus members. We are business partners, right? And we get joined at the hip for at least a year of working together to where, they can learn from my mistakes. So, whether it's me or whether it's somebody else.
Sure.
Get a qualified person that's already done this for years, knows what they're doing, that you can learn from their mistakes so you don't make those mistakes.
Sure.
So you can get your deals, get help structuring them. What's the most that you should offer on this particular property or deal, and why? Well, the math makes the decisions. Okay. Our emotions do not make the decision.
Okay. Yeah. Numbers don't lie. I like that.
The math makes the decision. So that's number one. Get partnered up with someone that you trust, that's already, been in this business. And then number two, practice. Practice. What do I mean by that? Practice talking to sellers.
Okay.
Whether it's you or somebody on your team, I don't want you spending any money on Google Ads or pay-per-click or any of that expensive stuff until you know how to do the seller call. And so you got to learn the scripting. I mean, what is the script? What are the questions to ask? And so I don't want somebody spending money on marketing or even what we call driving for dollars,
Okay.
or having an ant farm
Okay.
that sends you leads of, properties that look vacant or whatever,
Sure.
until you have filled out and completed at least 50 property lead sheets, scripting, having conversations with real people. And you can practice that by calling people on Zillow that are not even in your area.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
That's a great point.
And
Yeah.
so I want you to have that seller call dialed in before you're actually talking to sellers right in your own area, and get that practice under your belt.
Okay. So somebody does that. They look at your mastermind, which I definitely will make sure we get that information to have in the show notes to be able to share with the audience. We'll come back to that. But when you look at this as a business, when we're trying to get from the first deal into a business model, when you're looking at your portfolio of support within your team, is it I'm building up a list of real estate agents, contractors? What does that Rolodex look like? If somebody's saying like, maybe I could get in real estate, and you already have a lot of these pieces in place, what would those be?
So here are the main players. So I call it my dream team, my
Okay.
team members.
Okay.
So number one is your real estate attorney.
Okay.
You can't be doing this without a real estate attorney.
Okay.
Real estate attorney is going to draw up the documents for private lender loans, because your private lender doesn't even know what a closing document is.
Sure.
Right? So the real estate attorney. Now here in North Carolina, real estate attorneys, not title companies, but real estate attorneys actually do the closings for real estate. Most states use title companies.
Okay.
But you still need that relationship with a real estate attorney for documents, title searches, and et cetera. In addition to the real estate attorney, you definitely want to have a relationship with a realtor. So I've got the same realtor right here in Carteret County, North Carolina, for 22 years.
It's amazing.
His name is Chris Latham, 22 years. And Chris does all the research on all of the properties that we're considering making an offer on. All the properties that we list here in this county, we list with Chris.
Okay.
So we've had a great working relationship now, as I say, for 22 years. So you got to have a relationship with a realtor. I mean, Chris gives us all of the after repaired values on properties before we make an offer.
Sure.
If you're going to renovate a property, you need
Sure.
to know what's that after repaired value. If you're not going to renovate it, what's the as is value, right? So real estate attorney, realtor, and then in addition to that, if you're going to do any renovations, who is your relationship with, regarding the general contractor?
Okay.
So I've got 2 different general contractors, and I have my own crew as well.
Okay.
I do not recommend starting out getting your own crew.
Sure.
Don't do that.
Sure.
You want to establish a relationship with a general contractor. And in addition to that, I've had the same interior designer for over 20 years as well. Her name is Beth Garner. You don't have to have an interior designer for renovations. If you've got a good general contractor, they can give you good advice as well. My other team member is Kim. She's my acquisitionist.
Okay.
She's been with me over 20 years.
Okay.
She talks with all of the off-market sellers, gets their initial information, etc. And if you're wanting to scale your business, you're definitely going to want some software. So all of our prospects, all of our prospective sellers are in our software with all the notes, the pipeline, where they are in the pipeline.
Sure.
They just came in. And like when somebody responds to a Google ad, then they're automatically put in the software. And Kim and I do all of our communication back and forth with the different stages that seller moves from in the software.
Nice. That's awesome. And a good system that is scalable, right? That we cannot scale without systems, or we will not do it effectively by any standpoint, for sure.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I have no idea how many hundreds of thousands of dollars I lost by running this company off of a yellow pad and Post-it notes.
Yeah.
Right?
I got you. Yeah.
Yeah. And so years and years ago, we got some amazing software that keeps all the notes, keeps all the track, keeps all the pipeline straight as to where we are with that prospect.
So Jay, is your business model, your personal business model, are you in the renovations flip side, or are you in the build and keep side? What has been your decision there? If you don't mind.
So I've done all the above. I've bought and I've sold a lot of houses on lease purchase or rent to own.
Okay.
But primarily since COVID, it's been flips because the profits have just been so great.
Okay. So you're not being a landlord yourself. You're just going out, getting the deal, doing the work, and flipping there. When the deal closes, is that where your private money person gets their money back?
Correct.
Okay. So then they get their money back plus 8%. And then they say, Jay, go find me another deal, right? Because who doesn't want that? So
That's right.
Do you typically find they're rolling that 8% in and building that fund, or are they pulling out funds to put in some other investment type?
It depends on the private lender.
Okay.
I've got some elderly private lenders that we pay that interest monthly because that is supplemental income.
Sure.
I've got other private lenders that they don't need the supplemental income, so they'll just let the interest accrue.
Okay.
And then when we sell the house, we'll pay them off along with the whatever unpaid accrued interest that we owe them.
Okay. And so when you're looking to budget, so if you're having monthly payments of interest payments back to a private money lender, how are you budgeting that in across the job? Typical renovation takes how many months? So how many payments are you making out before you take in profit?
On average, it's about 9.
Okay.
About 9 months, sometimes 12, depending on how long that house sat there.
Sure.
Before we started the renovation. Average renovation is going to take, on average, about 3 months, because most of them average between $40,000 and $60-some thousand, and then getting it staged, getting the photographer, et cetera, getting it on the market. But still, even though the market has slowed down in the past year, most of our properties are still going under contract and being sold within 90 days.
Wow. Okay.
From the time they're on the market.
Yeah.
So from that start to finish, it's going to be 9 to 12 months on a cash out.
And so if you don't mind me coming back to like you business operations wise, looking at somebody that's just getting started, how do you finance the interest payments for the first 12 months prior to selling your first house? Is your first private money lender, you're looking for somebody that doesn't need monthly payments, or what would you advise there? Yeah.
Well, since I'm buying most of the properties at 30 to 40 to maybe 50% of the after repaired value, so a $200,000 after repaired value, I may buy that house for 80 or 90 or 100,000.
Gotcha.
And it needs maybe 35,000 in renovation. Well, let's run the math.
Sure.
If I can borrow 75% of the after repaired value, well, I can borrow 150,000 on a 200,000 after repaired value. But if I only paid 100,000 for it, I'm bringing home a $50,000 check.
Sure.
That's called excess cash to close.
Yeah.
So I'll take that $50,000 check, and if the private lender is needing monthly payments, well, they are cash flowing their own monthly payments.
Sure. That makes sense. Yeah.
Along with the renovation.
Yeah, cool. That's amazing. So Jay, as we come up to the end of our time, thank you very much for sharing with our audience. This is a wealth of information. A couple of things. Number one, you talked about a mastermind group. that's very popular. Can you give us just a real quick pitch on that for those that have heard your presentation, heard your this conversation, and are like, man, I want to know more about Jay and how to get connected to Jay?
Sure. So we have different tiers of coaching.
Okay.
Platinum Plus membership is a year-long coaching program. I not only teach and coach on private money, but all the different pillars: how to find deals,
Okay.
how to structure the deals, how to get them funded, how to sell houses quickly, etc., how to automate your business. And our Mastermind group is our top tier membership. So anyone interested in learning about our coaching, you can simply book a one-on-one call. We'll tell you all about it. Go to jayconner.com, and I'm an ER, not an OR. So jayconner.com/schedule.
Love
So
it.
jayconner.com/schedule, and we'll visit with you one-on-one. And I got 3 gifts in addition to the free consultation call.
We love gifts. We love gifts
I got
here.
3 gifts. So first of all, I do 3 live events a year called the Private Money Conference.
Okay.
And you can check all that out at jayconner.com/event, jayconner.com/event. And for your listeners, Matthew, it's a $3,000 event, but they get to come for a small $97 registration fee.
Wow.
And they can bring a guest. In addition to the event, then I'll be glad to give one of my private money scripts, how to even start a conversation with a potential private lender. That's called the Curiosity Opener Script. You can download that PDF for free at jayconner.com/scripts.
Okay.
And that's plural, jayconner.com/scripts. And then my national best-selling book called Where to Get the Money Now, How in order to get money for your real estate deals without relying on traditional or hard money lenders. I'll autograph the book for you, and I'll express mail it to you. And you can pick up the book at jayconner.com/book. So don't give Amazon $20. The book is free, just covers shipping and handling. jayconner.com/book. And I'll rush that right out to you. And by the way, my podcast is now in its 8th year.
Congratulations. That's fantastic.
And,
what is your podcast name?
The name of my podcast is Raising Private Money. Imagine that.
It well suited.
Raising Private Money with Jay Conner. You just type that in, and that'll take you right. So I interview twice a week. We release the podcast on Monday mornings and Thursday mornings. I interview people that have raised private money, and I pick their brain as to how they go about raising private money.
I love it. Jay, amazing. Thank you, brother. Very generous with your time, very generous with the resources. I'll make sure all those are in the show notes. Thank you for joining us today and sharing your wealth of information. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today on Market Mavericks. We'll see you soon.
Are you feeling inspired by the knowledge you gained in this episode? Then head over to jayconner.com/moneyguide. That's jayconner.com/moneyguide and download your free guide that shares 7 reasons why private money will skyrocket your real estate investing business right now. Again, that's jayconner.com/moneyguide to get your free guide. We'll see you next time on Raising Private Money with Jay Conner.